We are going to identify that right now. It's Vidala's of all things, Vidala's snare. That's usually one of the last things I find. Okay, fine. I mean, we have Vidala's boots. There we go. Reaction times. Nothing in here is good. Okay. So we have defeated Duriel. Let's go ahead and get more life. We're gonna need to be tanky for this nonsense. So let's see. I'm really on the fence still as to whether I want to get a shadow or not. It might be useful for keeping the mercenary alive, but at the same time, I'd have to invest a lot of points into it. So that means do low-level death sentries, so we'd have 1 point there. That's 21, 41, and then the rest into that. So, yeah, we can do that. I can get the shadow. I'm just trying to do the math on it in my head. It's not promising, but it's there. And I'm really looking forward to, because the way they describe the charge changes is the charges will tick down by one. So if you have, like, say, 3 Phoenix Strike ones, all you'd have to do is charge it back up once to keep it onto the level that you were trying for before.
The Ark.
And we might end up switching over to keyboard and mouse, just for the healing purposes. That might actually be better on mercenary. Uno momento. Banning another bot. Sorry. Boom. The bots, they are real.
Yes, citizen.
But yeah, those are, if you're wondering what those random things they're trying to like fake link, it's basically spam links that they usually got caught by the spam filter on messages that finally stopped, and that they started putting into chat, which is random female names are almost always associated with. They're trying to get horny people to click on them so they can give them a virus or something, and it gets a bunch of old men. So let's see. Oh yeah, mercenary.
I'll put that to good use.
Okay, so I can hold that down and just quick swap it to him. Sweet. So to sell that, X, gonna give it to you. I will eventually get used to using the controller, but it's gonna take time. But there's hot singles in my area. I've got hot singles in my wallet. Got like, I think I have like 7 $1 bills in my wallet.
Welcome to corrupt.
I don't actually know the precise number. Maybe we should switch over to... You know what? I'm gonna do it. I know I just resurrected this guy. I'm gonna dump his stuff off of him. But I'm gonna be that guy. That's not what I wanted to do, but that's fine. Pick up. Drop. And I don't care about the trident.
Hello there.
Hire. I need Ice Boy. So let's get Vonji. You get to get that.
Put that to good use.
And
Put
that.
that to good use.
You like controller for D2R, but you hate how the inventory menu art. I like using it for like the boas on and stuff like that. I'm liking using the face buttons for the martial arts. I don't like having to heal with it. So doing melee with it is proving to be a little bit more irritating than I thought it would be. So there's a little bit more resist on my part. How are we looking on resist? Not bad. Our lightning resist is kind of pants, but we could deal with that. I'll put that to good use. At least the ice mercenary has a use. If a plane is heading to New York doing 80 miles an hour and a train that is heading from Singapore crashes, who gets to Charleston, North Carolina last? Me. Although part of me actually wishes I lived in North Carolina right now. Because Limited Run is opening up a physical store. I would 100% want a job there. And it is kind of like in my wheel of specialty. On more than one front, funnily enough. Even if it was just stocking shelves there. It'd be enough to cover the gap. And it would be immersed in video games. Be able to nerd out with people about them. And it would probably influence my content, but that's just an entirely different thing. Let's go ahead. Not enough mana. Drop that. Let's see. You'd like to... Okay, let's see. Shit, wrong AMA. The Battle of Moscow. I'd like to imagine the Snake Lady wiped dust off the top of the Merc's helm like someone getting a back of store item from 20 years ago. He dusty. I mean, he's already dusty. You can see it kind of sparkling around him. He got that Big Ben vibe. Let's see. Should I be afraid of anything here? Probably not. Because Mercenary can... This is one nice point. In normal difficulty, the Cold Mercenary actually can just wreck face. Because he will freeze stuff, and he does basically an unlimited amount of glacial spikes and all that kind of fun stuff. We could give him a Spirit Sword and stuff. Do we want to try and give him faster cast? Just have him spam cold and stay back? I mean, it's no worse than some of the other things I could do. He's just not going to do real damage. Let's grab the Ithruns. Let's see. Who would win, Enchantress from Diablo 3 or Desert Mercenary from Diablo 2? I have not played with the mercenaries in Diablo 3 enough to know. I have beaten Diablo 3 twice. Oh, I've beaten Diablo 3 personally twice. Someone rushed me through it once. So that would be 3 times. That's why my Witch Doctor is at such a high level, and I never actually played him. They just wanted somebody to chat with while they were playing. Let's see, give him a spirit. I could give him dual spirit. I'd have to get an ethereal monarch to do it, but I could get him dual spirit. Because I don't think he gets enough strength to actually equip a proper monarch. Go, mercenary, go. He's doing more work than I am. I didn't mind Diablo 3. It wasn't a great game for me, but it accomplished what it was going for, which is an arcadey style Diablo franchise thing that feels more like Warcraft, which is kind of what it was going for. And that's why there's a fairly big overlap of Diablo 3 and Warcraft, as opposed to Diablo 3 and Diablo 2. Let's go ahead and grab that. I'd give Diablo 3's story, honestly, Diablo's story in general, is kind of neat premise, but it's not executed very well in the games. You generally, if you want like the deep lore of Diablo, you have to go look at the books. So let's see. Is this the spoiler thing we're looking for? Or is this the wrong spoiler? I'm feeling it's going to be the wrong spoiler. It is the wrong spoiler. which kind of sucks. Because that means this is Arachnid. Yeah. Let's see. You meant sword, but yeah, shield 2 would work. Huh? Let's see. Boop, boop, boop. We'll just go ahead and beat the crap out of him. What do you think is going to happen with D4? More like Resurrection or Diablo 3? I think it's going to be its own issue. I have a feeling it's going to capture the atmosphere of Diablo 2 Resurrected. It's going to be a bit more in line with that. But I have a feeling, and this is just a odd hunch, that gameplay-wise and as far as like design philosophy, it's going to be very much Activision style, where it is not necessarily going to have a bunch of microtransactions, but it's going to be very much on controlling the player, which is kind of a rough thing. So we'll see how it turns out. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and just keep running around in circles in here, and hopefully we'll get the right spoilers. And as far as the change that makes you have to destroy the compelling orb, I both love and hate it. I understand why it's there, and that's actually the original reason why they even put in the barriers to getting into places. Like, the fact that you even have to kill the council is something they changed to be in line with that back in the day. But, and same reason you have to kill the ancients, usually. Unless you are using a bug rush to get through Act 5. I have a feeling people will still find a way around actually having to do Act 3. You didn't dislike D3, but in terms of story and atmosphere, D1. I would say D1 had the better atmosphere, worse gameplay. I would say Diablo 3 had the most polished but least invested gameplay. But it was kind of like the lowest of the three in terms of atmosphere because it was too cartoony. And Diablo 2 is just kind of like the nice balance. It's not quite as unforgiving as Diablo 1, and it's got a lot more fluid gameplay, but it's got worse atmosphere than Diablo 1. I think the reason Hellfire gets hate is because it's got some oddities about it. If you've ever heard the alternative audio for a certain boss that Hellfire introduced, you'd understand what that means. Because that kind of stuff kind of snuck into it. It also gets hate because it was from an external company, which I personally think is a really cool thing about Hellfire. But I can understand why some people think it's not actually part of the Diablo world. And I don't think it's actually considered canon. I'm fairly certain it's not. Because some of that stuff gets really freaking weird. I think the story for Diablo 3 did okay. I mean, we've come a long ways from even when Diablo 3 was released, much less when Diablo 2 was released, about what is expected in terms of a game story. Because games like this back then didn't have high barriers to entry as far as their story. But as we've gotten into the more modern stuff, people are generally expecting more from games like this because it's treated more like an RPG rather than action with RPG elements. So you have to kind of like consider that whenever you compare modern ones with older ones. Let's see. There are, however, some trouble involved with game snobbery that is sort of mimicked from the music industry. Like these games or else you are wrong and should be punched. Yeah. I like a lot of games, so yeah, even games I'll shit on, I can usually find positive things about. So yay. Do we have? No, we don't have any spare points. Let's see. Grab the mana potion, of course. Identify you. You are garbage. I just want to find my eyeball, thank you. It's proving kind of frustrating. And another thing they need to do is make it so that if you are attacking thin air, you're not using up your mana for like melee attacks. That is a little irritating. Especially whenever with controller, it just kind of like kicks in the general direction you are moving. Let's see. I think we're going into Flare Jungle right now. I don't think this is... I don't want that. I don't think this is the... Well, it might have the eyeball on the transition. Well, where did you have your eyeball list? I don't know. I can't see my own eyeball. I presumed it was on my face, but apparently it's not. Can you see your own eyeball without a mirror? Because I've yet to see a mirror in this game that I can recall. I've seen glass. I don't think I've seen a mirror. You like Diablo 3 because the seasons gave rewards for doing challenges, the bounties after you complete the game, the greater rifts were good challenges after beating the game, plus more difficulties. I think hell difficulty is fine for a peak on Diablo 2. I do think they should do more than just make the different areas level 85 farming areas, though. I think they need to actually make some of like the portals in Act 5 and certain other areas turn into post-game areas. Let them go into like larger multi-floor dungeon kind of things. It just came to your mind. What if attacks cost us stamina instead of mana? I mean, that's essentially what they did in Diablo 3 by making certain skills require different resources, but those resources just depend on what class you were. It's not hell on D3, it's torment. I know it's not hell on D3. I'm saying hell is high enough on here because they made it hard enough. But yeah, you don't need a million difficulties if the game is balanced properly, in my opinion. But having the more additional millions of levels of torment allows them to introduce power creep without it feeling quite as janky. But I personally agree with the sentiment that the stamina system is absolute garbage in this. You think that for Final Fantasy XIV, use a system that used a stamina-based mana bar for the martial classes, but went away from it. Okay. I just remember that Final Fantasy XIV basically had to be remade almost from scratch because people were so unhappy with it. And I'm going the wrong way. Damn it. Well, we're committed right now. Probably committed for keep going this way. Should probably be committed for trying this build. Yes, I realize I'm in a hostile area. Doesn't need to flash red. Feel like they should have brought back the point system for D3 skills. Yeah, the just like free respec thing, it just kind of feels like, why not just give me all the skills and let me just assign them to buttons rather than having me to do loadouts. Let's see. Grab the mana potion, and these guys are minions. Mercenary's going to die because he's running right into that. I mean, the Act 3 Mercenary is smarter, not by a lot. Okay, I think we're good to just keep chugging away at this stuff. Let's grab the Jade figurine. We, of course, need that.